What's up, guys? Welcome to today's episode of the Trout Wrangler Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Garrity. It is currently Tuesday, May 6th at 4:31 p.m. We have a special guest today. I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit, Eric.
My name is Eric Estrada. I am a wildlife artist and content creator out of South Florida, and it's pretty warm in here today.
Dude, it's always warm in Florida, bro. Always. But first thing, what age did you start fishing, and what drove you to start doing art?
So honestly, I can't even answer exactly when I started fishing because I just grew up fishing. Okay. My grandfather, I do remember my first memories was like in Key Largo when I was a little kid. We'd fish some abandoned houses. There was like construction that was being done, and they just abandoned the project. So my parents would drive. We'd go behind this, vacant, abandoned house and fish in the canal in the back and just catch a bunch of like snapper and stuff. But my grandfather he was the pastor of White Street Church in Key West in the early 90s. And that's where I had a lot of memories of like seeing tarpon for the first time and actually seeing more than just like the fish that my parents would catch for food.
Yeah, dude.
And as for artwork, kind of the same story. My dad is a full-time artist, was then and still is. So I kind of grew up just like carrying his paint buckets around for him and then helping him as he painted murals and stuff. So I kind of learned from that regard. But then once I got into like middle school, my buddies and I started doing graffiti, and through high school. And then eventually I started painting cars and speedboats. And eventually that all kind of came together and landed on fish art.
Dude, that's pretty sweet. So I had another artist actually from here in Charlotte say the same thing. He's like, we started doing graffiti in Pennsylvania. And then he's like, really, you know what? We might as well start drawing fish and stuff like that and putting stuff like that we love behind it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that is true art, like in its purest form, is graffiti, for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the way I started doing fish was, I remember it was back, I don't even know, 2012. And one of my buddies that I used to tag with, like we were hanging out and he's like, oh, we should like go tag something. I'm like, dude, we're already like in our mid-20s. I'm not going to go out there and start tagging stuff. And not anything against people. Like there's still people that do that into their, well into their 40s and 50s. But I was like, I'm not going to start vandalizing at this point in my life. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he was like, oh, no, they sell canvas and stuff at Walmart because it was already like really late. So we ended up going to Walmart, bought some canvases, some paint markers, and he did like this crazy graffiti characters, this whole thing. And I just drew a tailing redfish, and it wasn't a very good tailing redfish. It was actually very bad. And he started laughing at me. He's like, you clearly don't got it. And then I went to work the next day. I worked at a body shop at the time. And my coworker at the body shop, I showed him a picture of the canvas. And he was like, you clearly don't got it. Just leave the painting to me and Tony because it's not one of your strengths. And I was like, challenge accepted. So for the next like 2 weeks, I was just painting every day on canvas just to get an understanding. My issue was I couldn't figure out how to manipulate the paint to do what I wanted to on the canvas. So once I understood that, I was able to start,
really
painting, executing. Yeah,
dude, that's pretty sweet. This is kind of off record, but did like guys like Guy Harvey have any influence on you or anything like that?
Not at all. I didn't know any of that culture. I didn't know any of that. Sorry, I'm drinking. Take a quick sip of water. I probably shouldn't be drinking out of a plastic water bottle.
I'm drinking a Gatorade.
I do have my Yeti cups around here somewhere, but yeah, for whatever reason, I love Aquafina water. Not sponsored. I'm just a big fan of the taste.
Dude, yeah. Aquafina does make probably the more quality water out there.
I think so. It's like pure crisp. It is. That might actually even be their pure water, perfect taste. And I totally agree by their statement or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, no, I wasn't familiar with Guy Harvey, none of that culture. I grew up in Miami, surrounded like in the Miami hip hop graffiti culture. I used to build lowriders, candy painted cars and all that stuff, hydraulics. So that was really where my mind state came from. And then I started hearing a lot of people when I first started painting, they started saying that my artwork reminded them of Tim Borsky, and I didn't even know Borsky did art at the time. I knew of Tim Borsky from his fly patterns, and it's probably very wild of me to say that I didn't know he was an artist because he is an amazing artist. But at the time, I had no idea, and people said that my art reminded them of Borsky's art. And if you put it next to his, they're not alike at all. Like techniques completely different, but I guess it invokes a similar, reaction from the viewer because we're both not purists in terms of like, we're not trying to recreate realism. It's not like supposed to look like a photo. It's intentionally supposed to look different.
That's what.
So I guess it got a similar reaction from people.
Dude, I do love stuff like that, dude. It's just because it's like original, and I look at a lot of your art. I think the first one that I ever saw was the one. I think did you do one for who was it? John B. of a smallmouth.
Yep. It was actually not a smallmouth. It was a brook trout.
Yeah, that's what it was, dude.
I did a brook trout for him. Yep.
Dude, that I saw that. I was like, that is awesome. And I started looking more into it, and it does have that super unique factor to it that puts like a little bit of that Miami flair, like the coloring and stuff like that. It almost looks like the Miami Heat. What's that? What's their City Connect jersey where it's got like the pink and it's the Miami Vice colors?
Yeah, I see. I mean, I'm wearing purple and blue on all of my branding right now.
Dude,
it's just so yeah. The Miami Heat, they use like a pink and like a teal, but yeah, it's similar vibe.
Yeah, dude, that is a pretty sweet Miami Heat colorway pattern. So I was like that's
I love
what
it.
That's what I first thought of when I saw that Fender Point shirt that you had. I was like,
another funny connection here. So when I was first learning how to paint, right? We just spoke about that a minute ago. It was in the Miami Heat were in the playoffs, and what I would do to watch the games, I would paint canvases because they were losing to the Pacers. I believe they were down like 3-1 in the playoffs. And I was like, I got to like watch the game but not be so involved because I'd be like pacing around the house and stuff. So I ended up like, all right, I'm just going to do one canvas during each game. And I started painting. And every game I'd paint a canvas. They ended up coming back, winning that series. And then they won the championship after that. So by the end of the playoffs, after they won the championship, I had like 7 paintings.
That's pretty
And
sweet.
then so like it was all purely just to distract me from the Miami Heat games because it was very intense. But yeah, I ended up posting all 7 of those paintings on Facebook. I didn't expect anything. I just posted it on there just to post it. And immediately I started getting bombarded with offers. People were like, oh, I'll buy that. I'll buy that off you. I'll buy that off you. And then one guy messaged me and he was like, oh, I'll buy all 7 of them for $700. I was like, sold. I remember, I didn't even put my name on them. I remember going back to work after that at the body shop. And I told my buddy, I just scammed the guy into paying me $700 for those drawings. And it's pretty funny thinking about that now because even like my smallest canvas goes for $1,000. For that same canvas that I was selling for $100 at the time sells for $1,000 all day now.
That's unbelievable.
So it's pretty funny.
Was that a Wade, Bosch, and LeBron year when they came back?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was
I believe that was the first year that they won together.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, Paul George was playing for the Pacers still at the time. Yep. Yeah.
I think the year before they may have lost to the Pacers in the playoffs or something, but I know that they were down, and then they ended up coming back and winning that series, and then they won the championship series.
Yeah. So I was going.
I think they may have beaten Oklahoma if I remember correctly.
They did beat Oklahoma City because I think that was the last year of Russ, KD, and James Harden together.
Yep.
I was going through that whole thing last night. I'm a big Celtics fan, and
oh really?
Gosh, that OT game against the Knicks. I was like, you kidding me, man? They blow a 20-point lead. I was like, come on. It's in Celtics fashion. But
the crazy thing, I moved away from Miami 2.5 years ago. I haven't watched a single basketball game ever since.
Dude, that's just the culture down there, man. They live and breathe the heat. Like my girlfriend's dad lives in Miami, and we were in Boca, I think last year when they were playing the Celtics, and
nice.
I was in a Celtics jersey the entire week, I was getting yelled at by people. Dude, it was crazy. I was like, I always forget. I'm like, Miami lives and breathes Miami Heat basketball. And then I was like, rightfully so. I show up in a Celtics jersey. I should have been
Yeah, and
expecting it.
of all the teams, the Celtics is probably like one of the biggest rivalries to Miami Heat fans.
Oh yeah.
There's so many epic games against the Celtics that throughout the years that there's like a grudge against them.
Oh yeah. I was like, that probably wasn't my smartest decision. My girlfriend's not real big into sports and was like, why is everybody staring at you? It's like
You probably could have wore any other team and not got a single word.
Yeah, I was like, I probably made a mistake wearing this jersey. But would you rather fish South Florida, the Gulf Coast, or the Space Coast, and why?
South Florida.
South Florida.
Yeah, just because that's the part of I'd probably say the only place in the world where like the Caribbean meets. I don't know what it meets, but you get the backcountry fish and you have all the Caribbean fish. So you could catch bonefish, tarpon, permit, redfish, black drum, sheep's head. I don't know anywhere else in the world that you could catch all those fish in one flat at the same time successfully. And there's so many more fish, triple tail, like there's so much, but there's not many places you can catch successfully target, permit, bonefish, redfish, snook, tarpon, all at the same time.
Yeah, that's and then you also have literally not far at all of the
peacock bass. You have so much,
dude. I went down there when I was living up there. I woke up one morning. This was a horrible decision and probably was a large factor of why my truck just shit the bed at 230,000 miles. but it was 230,000, and it was New Year's Day, and I woke up super early, and I was like, I'm just gonna get in my car, and just see where I end up. I threw a couple fly rods in the back of the car, and I just got going. I ended up all the way down at Aerojet Canal.
Oh wow!
Fished my whole way down there and like around all those little, the little canals and stuff like that back in neighborhoods on the way down there.
Yeah.
I stopped at a bunch of those. I was like, this is unbelievable. Like I'm sitting there looking in a canal and there's snook just rolling through the canal. I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. There's a snook literally sitting beside a peacock bass. My mind was just. I was like, this is crazy.
I've had a few moments. There was a time where a buddy and we were in the middle, dead smack in the middle of Miami, and we were dragging a john boat down a ditch to fish a pond, right? And it was a saltwater pond, but it's a pond, and we're making all the noise you can imagine, dragging this 14-foot tin can down the bank. We get everything. I just happened to look at the water, and there was a school of like 8 to 10 permit just sitting right there in a pond in like 2 feet of water. Now I'm a wildlife artist. I paint a lot of permit. I know what a permit is, and I know what a jack is. These things were clear as day, permit, just hanging out right there. And I like freaked out. I grabbed my fly rod because I actually happened to have my 10 weight set up with a permit rig with a merkin on there. And I dropped the fly in there. They all scattered. One of them came back and just eyeballed the fly and just looked at it. And then I tried stripping it to see if he'll bite it. He blew off and swam away. But then about a week later, a buddy of mine sends me a picture that he caught a permit on there on an NLBN on a freaking jerkbait. He ended up catching a permit in that same pond, which is crazy.
On a jerkbait, man. Is that
on a jerkbait?
Like, oh my god!
But it's just crazy because, we, as fishermen, or fly fishermen, we tend to put the fish and even the sport like on a pedestal and make it like all high and mighty, but we make it a lot harder than it needs to be.
100%. I agree.
At the end of the day, a permit is a jack. We do search for the hardest, most difficult environment and situation to catch them, and it does make it more rewarding. But yeah, we make things a lot more harder, more difficult than it needs to be, for sure.
I definitely overcomplicate so much to the point where I'm like, what am I doing? I have to like calm down a little bit. I'm like, all right, I had to pump the brakes a second. I was like, I am absolutely making this way harder than it is. And dude, but it's the same. It's the same thing. Like it's the same thing people do fly tying too. A lot of people are like overcomplicate, especially for trout. Like I do a lot of trout fishing. If you
Yeah.
present that fly correctly, they're gonna eat it. But it's like it looks good for like social media and stuff like that. But it's like I'm not gonna stress over like hackle palmering being like that much more like there's something's
Yeah,
still gonna eat it. But I
for sure.
let's see. Um,
Yeah, I on that note, yeah, I have a lot of fly tying videos on my YouTube channel, and over the past like the first ones I did, I'd be like very like intricate, like you got to tie the eyes like this, and it's got to be tied in the specific order. Now I'm just like I'm throwing a variation of one pattern for any fish I'm trying to catch, whether it's just a different hook, different colors, or add eyes or remove the eyes. I keep it as simple as possible. They're simple flies that get the job done, and that's what I'm trying to instill on the people that are watching my videos, because you don't have to be perfect to catch fish. You don't have to romanticize the situation. Some people get so, and I'm guilty of it. I get so focused on it needing to be perfect, or at least, what I expect it to, then I start to like not want to do things because it's like, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to meet my, the expectation in my mind of what I thought it should be. And then it's just like at the end of the day, just get out and get after it. Don't worry about those little small details.
dude, I actually watch a ton of your fly time videos. I think I have one of the ones. Nah, I don't. It's in my saltwater box. But the one I was telling you about on the phone the other day, the one it's the bonefish one where it's got
Yeah.
the no, it's a shrimp where it's like the bonefish shrimp. That thing is
Yep. Yep.
sweet. I love that fly. Love it.
Did I tell you that day? I probably did, but there was a time I was up in the mountains. I went up trout fishing, and I use a 5-weight for a lot of stuff. Like even here in Florida, I use it for a lot of stuff. So I just threw my 5-weight in the truck, drove up there, and I had that little bonefish fly on, and I cut it off. I put on trout flies, and I could see the browns, but they weren't eating anything that I was throwing. They weren't like all the trout flies that I had in my box. They did not even like hesitate, or they didn't even like kind of even glimpse at it. They were just like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
But then I saw a crawfish hanging out on a rock, and I was like, well, crawfish kind of looks like a shrimp. Let me try this shrimp fly. So sure enough, I tied that shrimp fly on, and first cast, brown trout. Third cast later, another brown trout. I started whacking the browns on that little shrimp fly, and part of it, I'm sure, is that it imitates a crawfish, but it's also something they've probably never seen thrown at them.
That's pretty cool though. That dude taking a bite out of that hook as a trout, they're probably like, "Oh my, what did I just eat?" That brown must have been hungry.
Dude, I'm telling you, I ended up with probably 4 or 5 of them on that fly.
That's awesome. I'm gonna start tying them for trout now.
Dude, and I don't know if you watched my last trout video. Essentially, I had that same fly, but in all black. And we were fishing a private stream or a private stretch of a stream. And they're like, yeah, there's some giant wild fish, but they don't really eat anything. You have to kind of creep up on them, and they're only like, you only get one shot at them, and they don't really eat anything. That's what they were telling us. And the guide, he tied like a dropper rig for me, and I'm out there. I made one cast with the dropper rig, and it got all tangled up. I'm like, screw this. I walked back to my truck. I grabbed my other fly rod with the black version of that fly, which I throw for snook a lot in the glades. Threw that thing in there, and that huge wild rainbow just came up and annihilated it, which was funny because, again, it's something they don't see often, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was that the one?
Then,
Were you in North Georgia in that video?
yep,
Yeah, that's what I thought. I've seen that one.
that was my most recent trout one. I did go back and do that same trip about 3-4 weeks ago. So that video should be releasing at some point in June of this year. I'll have like an updated or a second go at that trip. We actually overlanded on this trip.
Oh, it's awesome.
We were actually camping up in the mountains and stuff.
Dude, that's fun stuff, isn't it?
I love it. I'm planning another trip up in the fall, I'm trying to go somewhere. Maybe not North Georgia, maybe North Carolina somewhere, or somewhere up in that region. I want to switch it up,
Well,
see what else is out there.
let me know if you come up to North Carolina. I might be able to help you out with a few spots and stuff like that.
Sweet. What part of North Carolina are you at? You're in Charlotte, you
Yeah, I'm
said?
in Charlotte, but I fly fish up there a bunch. Um,
Yeah.
there's a few really good ones. What'd be really cool is if you went up there into the Smokies, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be a haul and a half, but that'd be a pretty cool one. But I got
So
a
I
couple.
fished up there. The one of the first trout I ever caught, I was up in, what is that? What is it called? Chimney tops
Chimney
up in the
Rock?
Smokies.
Or yeah, it is Chimney
Chimney.
Tops, I think.
Yeah, and I caught like a 8 or 9 inch brook trout that was all colored up, all lit up, and it was pretty sweet. And a buddy of mine, he grabbed it, held it in his hand. I went to take a picture, and the moment I went to take a picture, he just dropped it, and it came off
Yep.
and swam away. I'm like, come on! It was a huge brook trout because it looked like a native one. I mean, just the way that he was all colored up and all that looked like a native one, but it probably wasn't.
Dude,
I don't know how often they
if
stock
it
up there, but
if it's probably that if it was that like that big, like you're saying, it was probably a native one. And if they're like
yeah,
super colored up, that's a sure shot way to tell that it's a native. The natives are so colored up, prettier and stuff like that, and it's kind of tough
yeah,
to
it was the
tell.
nicest. It was the nicest trout I've ever seen, color wise and all that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was like, I need to photograph this. I got to paint this fish, and then it just like fell out of his hand. And I had found it. It's very very rocky there, like a lot of big boulders, and there was this one little pool of water, and I was like, let me just drop the fly in there, and sure enough, I caught him.
caught 'em.
But yeah, I'm thinking about maybe that might be the area, not necessarily chimney tops, but that same trip, I found some wild rainbows that were like 18, 20 inches in a stretch of water that people told me, no, there's nothing down there. They don't stock down there. Don't even waste your time. And I found them. We found some good
Heck
ones.
yeah. What state or country is your favorite DIY trip taking place in?
Uh, Definitely in America. I'm a big fan of fishing in our own country. There's plenty of fishing to be had in this country, so I don't care to travel to other countries to fish. I like to promote our fisheries. But I'd say probably Louisiana. For me, it's either Louisiana or Isla Mirada.
Yeah.
It's just, then again, Louisiana I loved before the hurricane. What hurricane was it? I can't forget. I can't remember which is the one that hit, because we had a camp in Pointe-aux-Chenes, and there was one of the hurricanes that went straight through there, and it changed it drastically ever since. There's still good fishing, but Louisiana before that hurricane, was it Ida? It may have been Ida.
Yeah, it was probably Ida. My little brother went to Tulane there in New Orleans, and I think one of those years he was there, he was home more than he was, and it was Hurricane Ida was, I think, the last big one.
Yeah, so it was like 2021 maybe, or 2022, maybe even 2020. Because I think it was 2020 when we leased a spot over there, and we had it for a few years. And yeah, Hurricane Ida destroyed the place. Pretty sure it was Ida. And there was like islands that we used to fish and have strings of bull redfish coming down, looking like tarpon in the middle of the Keys. It was crystal clear water, but it just wiped out so much. Like that whole island is gone. The whole flats there are just completely wiped out, and the water is just consistently a lot dirtier ever since. You can still find fish, but it just changed the landscape and the clarity of the water so much since.
Yeah, those reds down there in Louisiana are just built different, dude. It's crazy.
Oh, it's insane. And I'm sure, because I've sat there and scratched my head, like, how did we experience what we experienced there? Like, how come that doesn't exist in Florida? And I think it's just the amount of bait that comes out of the Mississippi.
Oh yeah,
is just so abundant. There's just way more bait there than any other state I've fished in. And I fished, pretty much Louisiana all the way down around Florida up to the Carolinas, up into Chesapeake Bay. I've spent a lot of time fishing all of that too, and I haven't seen the amount of bait anywhere like Louisiana.
It's insane, dude. I've never fished Louisiana, but I've been down there a bunch, and those bull reds, I've seen them, and that I haven't got the chance to throw at them, and I'm like, dude, I just want to go back down there and experience hooking one on like a 10 weight and just listening to it sing.
Yeah, I normally take an 8 or a 9, but yeah.
An 8 or not. I was like, are they big? Are they too big for an 8 weight? Some of them are, but
It depends on the rod and reel setup. You know what I mean?
yeah, dude. I got a Reddington Path. I actually got that at
Yeah,
Sodium.
You might want a 10 weight.
Yeah, that's all the rest of my stuff's not Reddington, but I might need a broomstick.
Nothing. Again, nothing wrong with Reddington. My first bonefish, my first redfish, all that came on a Reddington. I owe a lot of my early years of fly fishing to a Reddington reel that I bought for like $60 at Bass Pro Shop. It was a Reddington Red Fly 2. I loved that reel. I even took the spool off, and I spray painted the frame black because it came in like a copper color, and I was like, oh, that's weird. But yeah, I caught so many fish on that reel, so I'm not trying to throw shade at Reddington, but if you're trying to stop a big bull red, you're gonna need like a higher end reel. I'm sure Reddington likely makes a better or top caliber
top
drag system, but
I like those.
Not for $60 though.
No. I like those Echoes, and then the air lights are super cool too.
Yeah, I fished the air lights one day. The guys came over from I forgot the name of the company now. I'm blanking out. The Fly Lords dudes came over, but I forgot the name of the production company, and we shot.
What's their production company? Is it? Who was it?
I don't know why I can't remember right now.
They have their logo's like it's like a bird.
Yeah, so I know Zento and Max, they came down, but I don't remember the name of the actual company. I don't know why I'm blanking right now.
Something with an R.
But
I think.
I can't remember. No, this is gonna drive me crazy. I should try to look it up.
I think I can do it easy because I'm pretty sure I applied for a job with them. Promptly didn't get it, but I'll check right now. Where is it? Let's see. Fiska Media. Yeah, that's what it is. Fiska.
Yeah, so they came down. We did a shoot. We did a shoot for Airlight as well as On Water and Able. It was to release the Able reels that I did the artwork for Bonefish Tarpon Trust on. Bonefish Tarpon Trust. I said that a little strange, but yeah, we got some photos. It was kind of like we were doing photos for the BTT and then photos for the On Water app, and then they just like, hey, do you mind using our Airlight rods? We're trying to capture some content for Airlight as well. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I have no issues doing that. So I casted them around all day, and I actually liked it pretty much. Like, it was pretty good rods.
Oh yeah.
I like the colors on them. They're not like, it was like a mustard yellow one. Not something you see often, but it looks pretty sweet.
Oh yeah. I like a different looking product. I don't want something that's just like straight like tan or something like that. I was like, throw me a little color in that thing, man. Like the Miami Marlins Sugar Kings jerseys with the red, the pinstripes. I'm like, dude, I wish they could convert that into a fly rod color scheme, and I'd be like, I buy 10 of them. It's like, give me 15 of those.
So Renegade makes a white fly rod, which at first, when I first heard they were making a white fly rod, I thought that was pretty. I was like, I don't know if I like a white fly rod. But then when I got my hands on a white fly rod, I was like, this actually looks pretty sweet because it's white and everything on it's like blacked out.
Oh.
And then I put like a colorful reel on it, and it looks freaking awesome.
Oh, I bet.
But yeah, and then they fish pretty nice too. They also make a gray one, which is really my favorite one. Damn. Again, no affiliation. Not sponsored. I'm just telling you. Yeah. I did help them initially when they first started launching the rods. The previous ownership group, one of my buddies, he had brought a bunch of like prototypes down. He's like, oh, let's fish them, see if we catch anything. And I really like the rods. And I helped them, I guess, decide what rods they should use for their lineup. But they don't own the company anymore. So like I have no connection to them. Just they're really good rods in terms of casting and fishability and all that stuff. But yeah, not sponsored.
That's what it's like. I have to do that sometimes. I'm like, I am not affiliated with this company in any way, shape, or form, but I was like, it
Yeah,
is good stuff.
for sure, for sure.
But you were at the Lefty Cray Tie-In Fest. That looked like an absolute blast. Talk a little bit about that event and what it meant to be a part of it.
It was really awesome for various reasons. It was awesome because I learned how to tie flies from watching Lefty Cray's fly time videos on his saltwater box that I bought at Bass Pro Shop back in the day. So I learned how to tie flies from Lefty's videos, and I still tie some of those flies to this day. Which it was the gotcha fly, the clouser. Of course, I made variations to catch peacock bass and stuff. And when I saw that event come up, I'm like, oh, that looks like an awesome event. And of all places, it's in Vero Beach. That's where I live. We don't really have many things that happen in this town. So when I saw such a big event that means so much to the sport coming to my town, I was like, I need to get involved in this somehow. So I started just asking around, and people were like, I don't know. I don't even know what it's about. I haven't heard of it. And then I was like, I know Carter Andrews must know because he's here in town as well. So I shot him a text, and he's like, oh yeah, it's happening in my backyard or my front lawn. I was like, what? So then he put me in contact with the person I need to talk to, and they got me all set up. And it was awesome being able to be there, with all those people that are such, like such legends in the sport, being there all in one place, sharing their knowledge with everybody. It was an incredible time.
Oh yeah, it looked like, dude. I mean, I saw what's his name? The native coast. I always blank on his name. Dude's the best dang fly guide on that side of the coast. Shoot, what's his name? He's super nice guy. Trey, that's his name. Trey Michael.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, dude, that dude. I saw he was there. And then Andy Mill. Dude, it just looked like that was a hell of a crowd.
Yeah, and it was funny because Andy Mill, I say not a lot of events happen here in town, but a few months ago, the BTT had an event also in Vero Beach. And I was the, featured artist there. I was live painting, actually, that tarpon behind me.
Oh, shoot.
That purple and blue one. I was painting that at that event, and Andy Mill was there giving like a speech on tarpon fishing. And I've always heard of Andy Mill, and I didn't really know much about him just for whatever reason. Like, I know he's one of the best, most legendary tarpon anglers in the world, but I never really sat there to listen, a lot of his technique and stuff. And I was thinking, well, a lot of people usually tell me that I do a lot of stuff wrong because I don't do like the typical, 10 to 2 and all that stuff. But getting to actually sit down, and a lot of the times is when I'm at events like that, I'm usually busy painting and stuff, and I don't get to sit in and listen to what some of the other people got to say. But for this event, I was like, I'm going to sit. I'm going to listen to Andy Mill speak because, just he deserves that honor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna make sure I sit down and I watch, his whole little presentation, if you will. And I was like, wow, like a lot of what he says, it's awesome. It's like a lot of it makes sense. Some of the stuff I already do it myself, and just seeing that you don't have to be like the trout guy in the stream when you're on the front of a boat. Because a lot of people used to give me a lot of flack for that. Like on the Drake forum, like, oh, you guys do things wrong. I'm like, yeah, well, you're not out here on the Everglades with a 25 knot wind casting a fly rod at tailing fish. You know
exactly.
what I mean? So yeah, just hearing Andy Mill speak like non-conventional methods that are actually more effective than what is considered the norm was just awesome to see.
Oh yeah.
So
I love listening to his podcast too. That dude is probably one of the best speakers that.
Yeah, so I've listened to his podcast quite a bit, but usually when he has like a guest on, where they're interviewing the guest, is not really like Andy being interviewed. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So that's why just sitting down and listening to him speak about his stuff was like,
Oh yeah.
It was nice, eye-opening to see.
You were at the Florida Outdoor Show this weekend too, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah, how was that?
It was good. It seemed a lot more busy than last year because I was there last year as well. And I noticed a lot of the booths got smaller and they had a lot more vendors. So that show is growing year after year. It's getting bigger and bigger. And those guys that put that show together have done an amazing job setting that place up. And it's cool because it's like you have excuse me, you have like the flats boats, you have people that are there to hunting, you have all kinds of stuff, even things for the kids. My kids, excuse me, sorry, my kids loved the petting zoo. They got to sit in the helicopter from the Florida, what do you call it, the Florida Guard.
Uh-huh.
They had an actual helicopter in there that they allowed, you know, kids and adults to climb in and sit. And like my sons had the helmets
Oh,
on, they're
that's pretty
sitting in the
cool.
pilot's chair, and they were having a blast. Like, when else are they going to have the chance to sit in an actual real, you know, helicopter? It's not a make believe one. It's not set up as a prop somewhere. It's
It's an
actively
actual
being
being
used. You know.
helicopter. But
Yeah, it was awesome. My kids loved it. I had a blast seeing a lot of different cultures from the outdoors all coming together in one room. You
oh
know.
yeah, I do. That's why I love those events. It's just because it's like you got just like an absolute melting pot of people in there, and
Yeah, there was overlanding, fly fishing, you know, overlanding companies, fly fishing companies, hunting companies, like big boats, small boats, everybody just coming
oh
together.
yeah. But I think the first video I ever saw you in was the one with John B. No, I've seen before that actually, but the one that I saw was with you, John B. Have you fished with anybody else in the industry that's like a guy like John B. That's just all over the place?
So, so I fished a lot with Ryan
Uh huh.
Izquierdo.
Yeah.
He's a good buddy of mine. He's down in Palm Beach, so he'd come down to Miami with me and fish quite a bit. Uh, there was actually a video where he passed out. I had to call rescue for him.
Oh shoot.
He caught like I don't know, it was like a 40-50 pound tarpon on a 5 weight in a pond. And then we got chased out of there immediately after. People were asking us, hey, how expensive is that camera? We were in the middle of the hood.
Oh.
And when they started asking certain questions, we made quite the ruckus. And we jumped in the truck, we drove off, and out of nowhere he was like dizzy. He's like, something's not right. Something's not right. So we pulled into a Walgreens, and dude, he just started just hacking like crazy nonstop. And then I called rescue. They came to get him. I ran inside. They told me get him sugar because he is diabetic. He got bit by an alligator. I don't know how true this is because with Ryan, he's an amazing dude, but sometimes he's always such a jokester. I never know if he's saying the truth always. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So at least what I remember him telling me that at some point in his life he got bit by an alligator, and one of the side effects was that he became diabetic. So he has like this little thing on him that's supposed to control his insulin levels.
Uh-huh.
But for whatever reason, his sugar must have dropped or something. He blames it on the croquetas, which is a little Cuban thing that I took him to eat at a little restaurant.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it was the croquetas. I think it had a lot to do with adrenaline and just a lot of stuff that went down. Maybe we just went too hard that day. But yeah, I had to run in and get him like pure sugar, like the sweetest drink they had at Walgreens. Gave that to him, and he got better. Rescue took him, and yeah, it was wild. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, wow, that's insane. But yeah, we ended up catching a lot of fish that day. It was unfortunate what happened to him, and I was like, I don't know if I want to fish with him anymore. It's kind of scary. I don't want to be the reason that something, God forbid, happens. But no, I've fished with a lot of other guys. Thai Pig Patrol.
Uh-huh.
I fished with him. I fished with him in Florida, like down in Miami, and I fished with him out in Texas as well. Who else? My buddy Jameson. He's got a TV show, so he's actually up in Rhonda, North Carolina. He hosts the Road Trip Angler.
Oh, cool.
So he's got a TV show all over it's like. It was Bali Sports. Now I forgot. FanDuel, I think it's called.
Yeah, it's FanDuel Sports Network now.
So, yeah, his show's on FanDuel. He's on PBS as well. But, yeah, he's an awesome dude. Great fisherman. We actually just shot an episode of his show up there in North Georgia as well. We shot an episode of his show, and then I shot a film for my channel.
Heck yeah.
But there's just a lot of guys, dude. Will Phelps I filmed with a video last year. Who else? First State Fishing.
Uh-huh.
Fished with him a couple years ago. He's got like 500,000 subscribers or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Isn't it crazy though how you're saying, dude? You could go into those pockets in Florida, dude, and you could go from like $1 million Miami to literal like you're tarpon fishing, and you could be
Well, I learned that a lot of this happened in 2020 because they closed all the boat ramps after COVID.
Uh-huh.
They didn't want people congregating, and at that time, I realized that not a lot of people fish in the hood.
Uh-uh.
You know what I mean?
Uh-uh.
Like a lot of people are scared to, and I started finding a lot of fish, a lot of areas that fish weren't fished for. You know, not like just a bunch of tarpon waiting around that nobody was throwing anything
Yeah.
at. So it was easy. One of them we walked up to, and the lady's like, "Those are tarpon. I feed them fried chicken." I'm like, "That is not something I should be saying because it sounds like a stereotype." But she literally told us that she fed them fried chicken, and I don't mean that in any kind of way other than just quoting what I was told. So then we started taking like goldfish crackers, potato chips. It's just like what we had. Like my son had left some goldfish crackers in the truck. So we're just throwing goldfish in there, and the tarpon were coming up and eating them. So I have a shot of actually I posted it on a reel that I just put out this week about tarpon coming out of ducks' butts, which had some people question that. But apparently ducks eat tarpon eggs, and then they fly somewhere else, and then they poop out the eggs that's still viable, and then those eggs eventually hatch into tarpon. So that's how supposedly scientists say that's how tarpon get around, and they spread into a lot of these ponds that are landlocked. But anyway, in that reel, I had a shot of like a 40-pound, 50-pound tarpon, backing out of the water, and then a Egyptian geese came and ate something. Well, what they were eating were potato chips that we threw in the water. And I was like, that's the closest shot I have to a duck and a tarpon is an Egyptian geese. I know it's not a duck, but they showed a tarpon and a geese at the same exact spot, so I just used that. And somebody, of course, called me out. "Oh, yeah, this guy is talking about ducks, but he's got an Egyptian geese in the shot." I'm like, yeah,
Dude, it's a funny reel. Shut the hell up, dude.
yeah. So I do have photos of wood ducks and tarpon somewhere on a hard drive that I shot when I first moved to Vero Beach. I found a flock of wood ducks on one of my tarpon spots, and I thought that was pretty sweet. But it would have been great to find that shot, but those were photos, not actual video. So I was like, I'll just drop this video in this reel, and of course got called out for it immediately.
Dude, I think probably the most hood place I'd ever fished. Like, it was kind of cool though, because it was very eye opening and it was like a very different experience. Was Florida City.
Yeah.
Down there, dude, I was like, you hear gunshots and cop cars, but it's like you got people riding around on 4-wheelers and like side by sides and stuff. I'm like, dude, this is pretty sweet down here. I was like, I got it going on.
Yeah, and not to again, when I say the hood, like I grew up in East Hialeah. It's not the greatest area either. You know what I mean? Yeah. By any means. And my art studio was in Opelika, so I fished that area a lot. So yeah, I'm not trying to say like, I'm in the hood. You got to go to the hood, but what are you doing? Sorry, my wife is like creeping in, watching me.
You're good. My girlfriend's probably be coming home from work here in a second. But
so yeah, I'm not trying to like down talk anybody's neighborhood. I just know areas where most fly fishermen are probably scared to go to. I'd find more success. Yeah. And it's crazy because I'd see crocodiles in the middle of a neighborhood. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. It's like crocodiles hanging out by the canal. Saltwater crocodiles, not alligators. Again, I'm a wildlife artist. I know the difference. But yeah, it's pretty wild the things you can find in Florida.
Oh yeah, dude, it's nuts. And it's like I bow hunt too, and it's like I'll bow hunt in the fall, and it's like I'll go into some of these WMAs. I got lost in one time, and in Levy County, and ended up getting out of there in the dark. And I was like, I'm not gonna be able to see anything. My flashlight's out of battery, and I was like, this isn't a good situation. I ended up getting out, but it's like the things I heard, I was like, I'm kind of scared right now. I don't know what's going on, but I am kind of scared. But
yeah, it was funny. Now that you mentioned that, the other on my trip up to North Georgia a few weeks ago, we were driving out, or I was driving, trying to find the dudes. Like I knew where they were camping, but once I got in the mountain, my phone quit working. And I remembered I went up there. The last film I did, I was using Trout Routes because they had sponsored that project, and I had saved I dropped the pin drop at the campsite out there. So I was like, all right, let me see if I could open my app and it still works. So I opened up Trout Routes. Sure enough, thankfully, I was able to find that and find the pins that I had saved 2 years prior, and it got me to the spot. But there was one spot where I lowered my windows and I started going slow just to listen and see if I could hear them talking. And then I just heard like metal clanking out there. I was like, oh boy.
Oh yeah. Dude, like, when you're up there in North Georgia, you never know what that could be.
So I was like, oh no. So I just started driving again. And yeah, eventually I found them. I got to the pin, and they were at the campsite just past the one that I had saved on Trout Route. So, but it was cool that app was able to, take me to the same spot in pitch black darkness, because otherwise I would have not known where I was going.
Oh yeah.
Which that was sponsored, and they are sponsoring my new one after the fact. They didn't sponsor this episode before. I hadn't even spoken to them. But then after the fact, I told them, I was like, dude, like, thankfully this app, allowed me to get there. And they're like, that is awesome. Do you want to partner on that video? I'm like, heck yeah. So it is, this is a plug.
Heck yeah, dude.
Trout Routes by
Trout
Routes by Onyx.
I love that app. Dude, ever since they went with Onyx too, it's been a whole lot better too. Dude, like, I thought it was
sure.
I thought it was super, super good before. Now that they're with Onyx too, it's like it's unbelievable what it can do.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I moved to Vero, like I've been using that app. I've been using Trout Routes to find all my tarpon spots here. Because even though there's no Florida, and again, it's a trout app for the mountains, even though there's no Florida state, like you could look at all the states on the list, Florida's not on that list. However, they still have data for boat ramps. They still have water flow data. So judging by the water flow data and all the gauges that they have, I've been able to find new spots and find tarpon at those spots. So I have on my Trout Routes, I have, maybe 10 spots up in the mountains, actual trout spots, but I have hundreds of spots saved in Florida that I've catching tarpon and all kinds of stuff at because of their app.
They're probably like, dude.
So it's pretty.
Like, who's this dude?
It's pretty funny.
He's a Trout Routes. He's got a zillion pins dropped.
Use the code Estrada25 and you get 20% off on your Trout Routes subscription.
I'm about to do it because I canceled mine a little bit ago because it was getting a little expensive.
No, dude.
I'm about to use Estrada25. Everybody go use Estrada25.
Do that. Nah, and honestly, it's amazing that they're willing to, to pony up, especially, right now, a lot of the brands in this economy are like slashing their marketing budgets. But the fact that they're like, they saw I actually used their app and it really helped me get to the spot in the middle of the darkness, and they're willing to back it up and support me, I think as well, like authentically.
I think they're one of those companies though too, that it's like, they realize that, and they know that they got their people, and they're going to support you if you support them too and plug them and stuff like that. Because I had a couple buddies with them too, and it's the same thing. It's like all these companies are slashing their marketing, and it's crazy.
Well, and when they partnered with Onyx, what it did was it opened up a lot more opportunity for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But what's been your favorite video you filmed so far? It's a lot of them.
No, there is a lot of them, and it's funny because some of my my favorite videos aren't necessarily the most successful in terms of views. So my favorite film that I've edited that I felt was like I poured my heart into was that last trout film, the one that I did in North Georgia up there that you said you saw with the snook fly for the trout. But that video didn't do very good. I got like 7,000 views on it. In short form, it did good. It did over 1 million views on Instagram and like 500,000 views on TikTok. But that was like a 1-minute clip of it. The actual film itself only did 7,000 views. And that said, I got a shout out from a really good friend of mine, Al Blades, who has like 1.3 million subscribers. That's somebody else that I fish with a lot. Now, his YouTube channel is about mowing lawns. It's not a fishing channel. He does have another channel that's got like 80,000 subscribers or maybe more now That one's just more like his life, whatever he does, which he did have a lot of fishing on there before. Now it's just like working out, just his daily day-to-day routine. But yeah, that one, he shouted out the video, and I only got 7,000 views, which I did get from his shout out, probably like 1,000 something views, which I can tell you, out of all the people I have filmed with and have shouted me out, I got the most loyal following from him. Like a lot of the other fishing channels, I probably get like 20 subscribers out of it. Not much, you know, and that probably aligns more with the fact that I'm like mostly DIY fly fishing on my stuff. And a lot of the YouTubers that I've fished with that are fishing related are not mostly fly fishing, other than Will Phelps. I don't think any other one is actually a fly fishing channel, which I did get a few hundred when I did the collab with Will Phelps, which is Phelps on the Fly. But yeah, with Al, like he shouted me out and I got like 1,000 subscribers out of it. I got 1,000 plus views on that video. So that shows a lot about his audience being like genuine. Right. And they're like commenting on my videos, like, we're here because, you know, because Al Blades family, what up? You know?
That's pretty cool.
And they say, like, if I'm part of the Blades family, you know, if Al is shouting me out, they want to support me, which means they actually watch my videos and they comment. They're actively engaged as a subscriber. They're not just going to subscribe for the vanity metric, you know, just to see the number.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's and back to that question, I was thinking about, I did fish and film with like Craig Campbell, who was a big country music artist, a bunch of country music singers I used to do a lot with back in the day.
That's pretty cool.
So, but yeah, in terms of my favorite video, I did a video with Pete, the Skiff Wander, another good buddy of mine. I saw another YouTuber I forgot to mention. You know, he does a lot of fly fishing videos as well. But we fished. It's funny, we shot 2 videos. One video we caught fish, didn't do that good in views. Then I sat on footage from another day for about 8 months because we didn't catch a single fish. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this footage? Like, we didn't catch anything, but we had some pretty wild experiences in terms of seeing a lot of fish that were just refusing to eat or fly, and giant snook. So that year I had a goal to put out 52 videos, and I was at like sitting at video 46. And I'm like, I got like 2 weeks left of the year. I'm just going to pump out videos. And I put together this, you know, I edited this video, put it out, and it ended up being my most watched video of that year.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't catch a single fish. So again, it's one of those videos I loved the way that the edit turned out, and there were some giant fish in the video, but we didn't catch a single fish. That is still the only video I've put out where I did not land a single fish to hand.
Oh my gosh.
Which is pretty fun. We actually did catch one little snook, but I couldn't find the clip of it. I was searching and searching through all my hard drives trying to find the clip, because I know we did catch one little snook, but it didn't make the cut in the video. But yeah, it didn't matter. That video is still sitting at like 40,000 views.
That's nuts. That's pretty
cool.
So
it's pretty funny.
Dude, I think it's crazy too how it's like a video could do numbers on like YouTube and then flop on Instagram, and then it could do numbers on Instagram and then flop on YouTube or TikTok, do numbers on Instagram and flop on TikTok. It's crazy.
Yeah, so even this reel I just did about the ducks eating tarpon eggs and then releasing them, you know what I mean? Yeah. On Instagram it's doing pretty good. It's not doing great, but it's like, I don't know, last I saw was like 12,000 views or something. That same video on TikTok is like at 1,000. And on YouTube is at like 4,000, or at least it was this morning. Yeah. So it's crazy how that works. But I've had even that one video that did over 1 million on Instagram, it did 423,000 on TikTok, and it did like 20,000 on YouTube. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
And it's the same exact file. I just upload it to all 3 platforms at the same time, and the audience expectations are different on every platform.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So,
and it's like, I'll probably post like the same snippet of a video that I get out of this podcast, announcing the podcast, how it's going to go live tonight. And it's going to do like 1,000 on Instagram, maybe not even. And that, or it's going to go all over the place. It's so crazy how that happens.
Yeah. I don't understand it. I have a better understanding of Instagram than any other ones, just because I've been on Instagram, I say most actively the longest. I had a YouTube channel way before I had Instagram, but my Vimeo channel did very good initially. I had probably 5 videos, and after the 5th video, I cracked 100,000 views, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" My next video cracked 100,000 views, and I was like, "All right, you can't not monetize Vimeo like viewership.
Yeah.
You can monetize, at least at the time, you can monetize beforehand by selling sponsorship, but once you sold that sponsorship, that was it. Like there was nothing. It didn't matter how many views you got." So I thought to myself, this was back maybe 2016. Yeah. Because my YouTube channel, my current channel, I had a channel before. My current channel is 9 or 10 years old. So, yeah, 2016, I won an award for one of those films at the Drake Fly Fishing Film Festival. And that's what, after that film is when I tried to transfer to YouTube, and I would post the same caliber films on YouTube and get like 1,000 views, 2,000 views, and I would get frustrated. I'd be like, "What is going on? Like, this sucks." Excuse my language.
Oh,
I'm like, because I know I would post that same video on Vimeo, I'd get at the very least 30, 40,000 views. So I was like, this is not good. So I just gave up.
Yeah.
I stopped. I still have hard drives. Like even this one right here, it says 5 Way Chronicles. This very hard drive has 4 terabytes of films that I shot all over the country that never saw the light of day.
Oh my gosh.
Because I got so frustrated that all the effort I was putting in was not panning out on YouTube. However, knowing if I knew then what I know now, I should have just kept going. I was expecting YouTube to be like Vimeo. At the time, Vimeo's viewership wasn't coming from Vimeo. It came from the blog circuit. This was like pre-Instagram, pre all of that stuff. There was a bunch of blogs like Moldy Chum. Orvis had their Friday film festival. Every Friday they'd drop a whole list of like curated films that they found on Vimeo. There was a bunch of other websites that would all drop, like they'd put out blog posts highlighting their favorite fly fishing films from that week or that month. So I was getting views from all over the world from all these people that were scavenging Vimeo and then sharing it to their audiences. And that's how I was able to get such, big viewership on those videos. But once I went to YouTube, fly fishing didn't really exist on YouTube. YouTube was looked at the time as like, just like where all the kids went to, do random GoPro lower quality content. It wasn't like cinematic fly fishing films. And again, takes me back to the thought of like, stop romanticizing fly fishing. You know what I mean? And the guys that got started back then in that era, the John B's and all of them, they stuck to it and their channels are all massive.
Yeah.
Where I gave up after 4 or 5 videos, and then hearing like some of those guys, Ryan tell me, and even Alex Blackwell, who used to edit and film all of John B's videos, hearing Alex tell me that, shout out to Alex Blackwell, by the way, he was the person from Renegade that came down and had me, cast all the rods and help them figure out their rod lineup. But he was also John B's video guy and editor for many years. And I randomly came on to Alex Blackwell's story one day, or he was live on Instagram, and I just randomly clicked on it by mistake. Somebody had shared it. I clicked on it, and I was like, I'm going to X out because I don't know who this guy is. And it was just like, before I could X out, he was like, "Oh my God, Eric Estrada's watching." He's like, "What's up, Eric?" And I'm like, "Oh, I can't leave now." And then he's telling me, he's like, "I'm a big fan. You're a big part of how I got inspired to even start creating films, like fishing content." Because at the time he was doing like videos of like nightclub scene in Tampa Bay area. And he saw my 5 Way Chronicles videos and he was inspired to do fishing content. So I was like, wow, like knowing that I inspired, the guy who's editing and filming all of John B's content, when John B's got like over 1 million subscribers, I'm like, that's crazy to hear. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it just reminds me, like, I should have stuck to it. I was a baby thinking, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to do this. I gave up, and then I would try it again. A year and a half will go by, and I'll be inspired to make a video. I'll put a video out, and again, it would, do a couple thousand views. And again, I didn't realize a couple thousand views when you have no audience on YouTube is really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I hit 1,000 subscribers on like my first or second video.
Damn.
And at the time I was thinking like, what the heck? But now knowing like I probably was ahead of the time, and had I done it then, I would have had zero competition. Like there's still not a lot of saltwater fly fishing YouTube channels that exist.
Oh yeah, no, there's not many.
Like the biggest channel I could think of, and I mean I might be wrong, but the biggest channel that I could think of that does saltwater fly fishing content is probably Alvin Dedeaux.
I agree.
I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce his last name, but Alvin's channel is probably the biggest, and rightfully so. He's been grinding for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome dude, awesome videos. But if you look at Trout guys, there's channels with like 500,000 subscribers.
Oh yeah, Wildfly.
Yeah, you got Wildfly, you got Hardman.
Yeah.
I don't know how you pronounce his Hardman. You got some of those other trout guys that have pretty big followings, but when it comes to saltwater, there ain't it. Like they just don't exist.
Dude, the craziest thing, I met Scotty with Wildfly used to work. He went to Ardrey High School, which was like a rival high school of my high school, and
really?
I met him in a gym that I used to work out at, and him and I would sit in the like cardio room and sit there and talk fishing. And then like couple
awesome.
years down the road, I'm like scrolling through YouTube, like looking for something to watch in the background. I look over, I'm like, holy crap, that's Scotty. And it was like a video of him fishing at Wilson Creek. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I started watching his stuff. Literally, like 2 years later, he's got like 1.5 million views on like all of his videos. Like,
yeah, and again, that goes to show a good idea. It's all about a good idea. What set my videos apart initially, because I made a bunch of videos and I get like 10,000 views. But once I called my videos the 5-weight chronicles, and you see like a 40-pound tarpon, people were like, I gotta click that, because like, what do you mean you're catching a tarpon on a 5-weight? And Scotty did, as far as I know, the video series that put him like on the map more so, because he was doing great videos before. But what started getting people's attention was the Short Bus Diaries, where they started building around the idea. Oh, we're just traveling in a bus, even though the quality of the videos are the same, the caliber, the people are the same. Once you give it an idea, a story, the audience starts to like, and pay attention to it. So yeah, YouTube game is wild. There's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes that is just thought. You got to put a lot of ideation into it to really set yourself apart.
I agree. That's what I got to get better at. But this is how I close out every segment. What are your 5 go-to fishing songs for the Trout Tunes playlist on Spotify?
All right, so this list would have been completely different a few years ago, but right now one of the songs that I listen to a lot is called "Ants in My Pants," which is pretty funny. From Not Clyde.
All right.
Forrest Frank, "Drop" is a great song. Forrest Frank, "Heaven on This Earth" is another great song.
Not Clyde. What were those last two?
So Forrest Frank, "Drop." Forrest Frank, "Heaven on This Earth." And then another song that I love a lot is "Promised Land" by Josiah Queen. And a 5th song. I'm sitting at 4 right now. Yep. You said 5 songs, right?
Yep. What was the last one?
What is a good...
Sorry, I added it to the playlist.
"Promised Land" by Josiah Queen.
Promised Land.
Number 5. I'm trying to think of a 5th song. Can I cheat and look at my Spotify?
Yes, of course. Let's see. I don't even know if I finished mine today. I may not have.
So when will this drop?
Tonight at 7:30.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I try. And,
so not much editing goes into this.
Nah, not really. It So you like today it's like I didn't really have to cut anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I usually just
Wait. Is this the end? Are we done?
no, not yet. I just do closing
I do want to
remarks.
plug.
Oh
I do want to plug one more thing,
yeah.
if
Plug as
possible.
many things as you want. I was just gonna ask you if you had anybody to shout
I'm
out or anything else.
trying to. One more song. Okay, "Your Way's Better" by Forrest Frank.
Okay.
It's the 5th song.
You're Always Better by Forrest Frank. Let's see.
Yep.
I'll cut out your. I might actually have to edit a couple things today. That when I messed up this morning, or when I messed up at the um, intro. But
No. Well, this platform you use, I'm sure it makes it pretty easy
it does. Makes it super easy
to put things out. I messed with it once a while back, so I wanted to do a podcast. I filmed like 4 episodes and then never released them. I had some pretty good guests, I think.
Who'd you have?
But Neil Jacobs, he was the head of NOAA under President Trump's first run.
Uh-huh.
He was part of the Sharpie Gate scandal.
Oh yeah,
happened. But he's an avid tarpon angler as well, fly guy. So he comes down and fishes with me usually once or twice a year.
That's pretty.
So I sat down with him for an interview, and then I had Pete the Skiff Wander on one as well. But for whatever reason, I just never. I probably should sign up for Riverside because I'm sure it'll make it way easier. I was trying to edit it all in Premiere with multiple cameras, and the time my cameras had a time limit, so I'd have to stop and hit record and stop and hit record and stop and hit record.
Dude, yeah, Riverside's the deal, man. It makes it super easy, like super easy.
Yeah.
But you got any? I know you said you had a couple more plugs, and you got anything else?
Check out my website, shopestrada.com, for fishing apparel, fishing art, stickers. I have like air fresheners and stuff, like essentially little bonefish, tarpon air fresheners to put in your car. It does not smell like fish. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how many people have asked me, "Oh, does it smell like the actual fish?" And absolutely not, because that would not smell good. But also Matacumbe Skiffs. I have officially come on board at Matacumbe Skiffs. I have a big part of my past. I used to paint boats, as I mentioned, and work on boats. So I'm essentially one of the partners at Matacumbe Skiffs now. We're building great boats, with Mel Walker, who is the owner of Ancona Boats and Saltmarsh Skiffs as well. So we have very reputable builders. We're building the boats. I'm spraying the auger grip and all that stuff myself. Building these skiffs, amazing skiffs for shallow water anywhere in the Southeast United States. Really, well, wherever you want to take a skiff to. But we're probably going to be sending one to Hawaii really soon. Ooh. So trying to get them out there,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so we are also giving away a skiff with the Bonefish Tarpon Trust at the end of this year at their symposium. So look out for the Florida boat giveaway. They've already announced it, but we're going to start dropping a lot of more content and stuff around that. We'll be at ICAST with the boat and a bunch of other events around the state of Florida to tell you how you can win a brand new Matacumbe 169.
Heck yeah, I'm about to.
Also known as the Florida boat.
I'm about to enter that. I'll throw you a plug.
Awesome.
He's like, Eric told me to sign up for this. But
yeah, and then also subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm at like 10,500 subscribers. I'd like to be at a little bit more than that. It was pretty funny, actually. At one point, me and Pete and the Blue Line Flies guys, I had a lead on them. I was at like 7,000 subscribers, and they were like at 6,000. And they give me some crap about it, but they both like leapfrogged over me, and I'm like, come on, guys, come on. So they're both above me now, so help me catch up to my buddies at Blue Line Flies and the Skiff Wander by subscribing to my channel too.
Heck yeah, dude. That was Eric, dude. Thank you for coming on. Like I said, this will be out tonight at 7:30.
That's awesome.
But once we stop this, we have to wait around for it to upload for like, I think 2 minutes. And then we'll be good to go. But again, that was Eric, dude. Thank you for coming on. And
Thanks for having
No
me.
problem, man. But that was this week's episode. Catch you on Friday. All right. Let's
Peace.
see.